Hey friends, you know it's never too early for Easter crafts. So let's work on these Tea Cup Bunnies that are adorable from Christina at the Rust Covered Cottage. I love these bunnies. They are so cute. And they were super fun to paint. So I've got them all kind of separated out, and I'm going to go in on the teacups and do some really pretty spring colors. So I'm starting with Autumn Sage. This one is a chalk style paint from Paint Couture. And then on the other, or the second one, I'm going to go in with Caribbean Coral. And this one is an acrylic mineral paint from Paint Couture. So it goes on a little bit thicker and has a top coat built in. Both of those I am going to go back and do a second coat on, but I'm going to let it sit and air dry while I keep working. And then, of course, we have to have duck egg for Easter. So the third little teacup is going to have a base of duck egg. That's another mineral acrylic. And I kind of wasn't paying attention to what I was doing and painted more of that bottom layer than I should have. But it's okay. And as you can tell, I have my baby wipes handy for touch-ups and to get things under control when I paint the wrong thing. So I went in with that second coat on all three. Later on the back side, we'll go in with Van Dyke Brown stain just to kind of give it that finished look. So I'm going to put those to the side and let them dry really well while we work on the flowers and the faces. And then we'll come back to these later because we're not finished with them. So I'm just going to put all the pieces on my sticky board, trying to categorize them by the colors that I'm going to use. And in all my excitement, because I was super excited to do this kit, I flipped some of the paws. So we'll have to fix that later on in super speed. So I'm using Simply White for my daisies. And that one is another mineral acrylic. I'm going to put 2 coats of that on each of the flowers. Sometimes with whites, you have to go in for a 3rd coat. Now I'm going to go in with my favorite yellow, which is Spanish Sunrise, and do the centers of those sweet little daisies. Hitting all those. I'm using a pretty heavy coat so that I don't really have to go back and do that second layer. That one is also a mineral acrylic. Now I'm going to go in with some grays, and I ended up switching out that darkest one. I picked it up and did not realize it was a glaze, but I am using British gray, which is a nice, beautiful medium gray, as well as Charlotte gray, which is a very light gray. Sometimes it looks almost white until you put it up against white. Both of those are mineral acrylics from Paint Couture. And I use the same brush to do both shades because I kind of wanted my Charlotte gray to be a little bit darker, and then I also wanted my British gray to be just a hint lighter. So I kind of just used the leftovers on the brush to kind of do a little blending. And now I'm going to go in with Madagascar Mocha as the base for my brown bunny. It's a really pretty, just rich brown. I don't know if I'd call it medium brown per se, but I guess it is. I guess it's medium to dark. Pinecone is definitely darker. I'm hitting all the pieces that are going to be visible. Not all of that teacup base is going to need to be painted. So I'm just kind of, sometimes you'll see I lay the pieces up to make sure I am covering all the area that I need to. So now I'm going in with my second layer on my gray. And then getting those out of the way. And now we're gonna go to the twin cup. And I used Cozy Beige and my favorite, Buttercream. The Buttercream is a chalk style paint, so it's not gonna go on as thick, and it does not have a built-in top coat, but it is more of a matte finish. And then Cozy Beige is another mineral acrylic. I am gonna do 2 coats of each. So on the right side bunny, I'm using that Buttercream, and on the left side bunny, I am using the Cozy Beige. I'm going in with my weeding tool and kind of cleaning out some of those score lines on the bunnies. And there's that Cozy Beige, just a really pretty neutral. And I just like the light contrast between the 2 bunnies. I didn't want them to be the same color, but I also didn't want them to be completely different. So I kind of used complementary neutrals, and I'll do my highlighting around the edges of the Buttercream. I will use the Cozy Beige to do the highlighting. And then on the Cozy Beige, I'll use the Buttercream to do the highlighting. Just getting that second layer. And the first layer, I guess it's the first layer on their paws and faces. And there we go with our second layer. My chalk style Buttercream is getting very low. It's a good thing I have a backup. I think I might have 2 backups actually. I just love this color. That Cozy Beige is quickly becoming one of my favorites too, I'll be honest. So just kind of getting some things out of my way to let them dry. And here's where I try that glaze, and it just did not do. And that's when I realized, oh, this is a glaze. So I switched it out for carbon, which is a nice dark gray. And it did exactly what I needed it to do. So I'm getting the toe pads for the gray bunny with that carbon. It's so cute. I think my favorite is the gray bunny because it's his little tushy tail that we see. I think he's cute hanging out. Getting that second toe pad set. And I didn't really go back and do a second layer on all the pieces, but I did touch up on any of the accents that it kind of looked like it was thinned out in areas. I would go back in and give it a little touch up. So now I'm going to go in with Vera at the Ballet. This is a really beautiful soft pink, and I'm going to use it for their cute little noses and for the inside of the ears on the Cozy Beige and Buttercream bunnies. It's just a really good pink. It's another mineral acrylic from Couture. And now I'm going to go in with my Posca pins. I have not used these before, so I had to prime them. I'm going to add some little dots to my daisies. And of course, I forgot that one in the upper right, but we'll fix that later. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to finish the mouths and noses and eyeballs on all the bunny faces. So there are score lines that I'm following. I am not just doing this by myself. And there are 2 little spots in each of the little eyes that you kind of don't color in with the black. And I did add my little dots and whiskers on my own. And on this Buttercream one, I don't know if it's because my pen was fresh, but when I drew in one of my whiskers, it kind of splattered across the bunny. So later you'll see that I I do go in with my buttercream and do a little touching up there. So cute. I just love how they're shaping up. Those sweet little faces. I love rabbits. We have a lot around my house, and my dogs love watching them. Okay, now we're going to go in for the really fun part. So we're going to use some stencils from, they're from Echo Park actually. They're Echo Park stencils. They're the 6x6s. The names of them will be in the description, and I'm going to kind of make a two-tone thing. So for the green teacup, I am going to go in with Vintage Moss, and I am using my Essential stenciling brush. This is the newest style of brush that they came out. I like it much better than their original style brushes. I love how that turned out. My husband actually picked out all the stencils for the teacups. I think he did a great job. And then, you know how I feel about barn quilts. So this stencil, I was so glad he picked it. Cute little barn quilt squares all across the teacup. And that one is in Vintage Flair. I love Vintage Flair with duck egg. I actually got that combo inspiration from Christina, and it has been my go-to. Oh, so cute. And then we are going to go in with Coral Passion on our Caribbean coral teacup. All of these are mineral acrylic paints. And I used a combination of dabbing and like rubbing in circles with those stencils. I started rubbing circles, and then where I wanted it to be a little heavier, I would go back in and dab. So there I am touching up my little whiskers that decided to splatter all over. And then I'm priming my white pen, and I'm gonna go in and kind of do little accent lines on the side of the eyes and then get their eyeballs. See how that really makes it pop? I like that. It looks really good. And now it's time for some distressing and accenting. So like I said, on the Cozy Beige Bunny, I went in with Buttercream for the accenting, and I am using an ink blending brush for this color. And then I use the same brush with my Cozy Beige on my Buttercream bunnies. So I'm just going all around the edges. On the big pieces, just kind of buffing in some into the background for the bunnies. And then for my white little cottontail, I went in with the British gray around the edges and then kind of blended it in with my finger. And now I'm going in with the Charlotte gray around the edges of the feet and that base. And it worked because I had used a mixture of the two grays on those pieces. Then I went back to Buttercream for my brown bunny. I wanted the accents to actually be visible, and I wasn't really sure if I used Pinecone if it would pop enough. Trying to get in all those little edges and also add some blending. If you get too much, you just wipe it back with a baby wipe. Now I'm going in with my Debi's DIY Dark Wax and distressing around the edges of the flowers and the teacups. And cleaning out a little bit of gooped up paint in those corners of the flowers. Getting all around the teacups, handles and everything. And then I'm sticking everything back to my sticky board because now we're going to go in with my favorite Dead Flat Topcoat. This takes out any of the shine from those mineral acrylics and gives it a nice layer of protection. Getting that all over. It won't take long to dry at all. And now I'm going to flip those cups over and give the back side just a quick little layer of Van Dyke Brown, which is what I used on the bases, just to give it that finished look, because you don't want raw wood when you're setting it out as a 3D piece. It'd be different if it was flush against something and the backs were hidden, but you don't know that that's where you're going to put them. So there I'm putting together the bases. You have to be careful because the slots are all different. So you want to be careful that you stack the correct bottom and top slot together. And of course, here's where I realized that I did the paws wrong. I did one of the buttercream paws incorrectly and both of the brown ones. I guess I was just too excited. But I'm sitting it all together, making sure I like how it looks, making sure I actually painted everything that needed to be painted. So cute. I love that one in her hair. And there I'm getting the dots on the forgotten daisy. And now let's fix that mistake. So I'm putting in super speed because we've already seen me paint all these, and I'm just redoing it same way, using my dryer to get them dry between each layer. And then I'm going to use my finger to distress them this time, because I was just trying to be as quick as possible and not use up even more materials that I have to clean. So got that all done and dried out, and then put some top coat on it, got that dry, and now we can assemble finally. They just come together so nicely. I just love it. Getting all those paws and the daisies and those sweet little faces. Then switching out for the next. So cute. And you can kind of feel around the edges and make sure that all of the little pieces match up perfectly. And with the art glitter glue, you can always wiggle it around if it's not perfect right away. It also dries clear and does not make your fingers sticky. It really is my favorite glue. Getting those sweet little feet. Making sure I have them where they're supposed to be. Had them a little too far to the right at first. And now we're going to fit them into the bases. I did kind of compare to see which one went with which. And I'm just pushing them in. They're very snug, so I don't feel like I have to put glue on them. And I feel like they'll store better if I don't glue them down and then take the bases off when I want to store them. And there they are. They're so cute. I love them so much. I hope you like them too. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all. Bye.